Alright. This is a review I should have done hours ago, but I did my 31 on 31. Took forever to upload, so here we are. Letter E. Eight-Legged Freaks, starring David Arquette, Gary Wurr, and a young Scarlett Johansson. So, backstory time. So, I have a connection with this. It was actually back when I first started watching WWE, and they showed a trailer for this during one of the commercials, and I thought it was fake. I thought it was like, I don't know, a promo for a new incoming superstar or something. I didn't think it was actually a movie. The way this trailer or TV spot was edited, it seemed fake, like something you'd see on Saturday Night Live, but it was real. It was for Eight-Legged Freaks. Now, you'll notice that throughout the film, they keep saying the phrase Iraq attack. And they only say Eight-Legged Freaks once, and that's when David Arquette yells it at the spiders when he's on the antenna on top of the mall. And that's because Eight-Legged Freaks was never intended to be the title of the film. It was actually called Iraq Attack. But this movie came out in 2002. So if you said Iraq, you know what it would sound like. And Iraq Attack, especially after 9/11, would not be a very good name. And the ad-libbing of David Arquette saying Eight-Legged Freaks turned that into the name of the film. And in fact, it's only said once. Anyway, so the story is that this guy's driving down the road and he sees a rabbit. Okay, let me start again. This guy's driving down the road, this truck driver. He's carrying a truck of illegal chemicals, like chemicals. What do you say? Toxic waste chemicals. He swerves to miss a bunny, which wasn't in his way till he swerved, to be honest. And one of the barrels, just one, I don't know why just one of the barrels rolls off the truck and into a pond or whatever you call it. And a man named Joshua, who I think should have been in the film more, played by Tom Noonan. He's just a small cameo, but he finds a bunch of crickets in there and starts to feed them to his spiders. We get one of our main characters named Mike. He's a little kid. And he shows up and he meets with Joshua, but Joshua's like a 50-year-old or something. They're friends, even though his mom, who's the sheriff, doesn't approve of it. But I think that's, he says that he's been feeding these crickets, which it's weird because when he finds the crickets, he's like, whoa. But it's like they're not any bigger than they should be. Yet they're making the spiders bigger than they should be. And throughout this part where they're talking, you see one of the spiders, a tarantula or something, gets out, crawls on Joshua's back, and the spider waits for Mike to leave. Because as soon as he leaves, that's when it attacks Joshua. And even though there are a bunch of spiders crawling on the ceiling before he starts thrashing into the other cages, we're supposed to believe that he let him loose when he was knocking into the cages. So, but I don't know. Maybe they edited it wrong. I gotta mention, this film actually starts with Dougie Dog telling a story. And I gotta give it to him next to come back around to it. But, so Dougie Dog is telling this story. He plays Harlan, who's a local conspiracy theorist radio DJ, I guess. And our main character is Chris, who used to live there but left, and he came back to deal with the mines. His father used to own it, and his father has died, so... Yeah, this sounds familiar. Guy comes back to deal with his father's mind and gets reacquainted with an ex-girlfriend of his or something. Watch out for Harry Warden and the pickaxe. Just saying. Anyway. So, yeah, he comes in. David Arquette comes in. His name's Chris. And he's all cool and macho because he's got the mustache and a goatee. But he does shave it halfway through the film. In fact, the fact that he's got the goatee on the cover, but not here. Which is very straight. Before we're introduced to Chris, we get introduced to the sheriff, who I said is Mike's mother, and then Mike's sister, Ashley, played by a young Scarlett Johansson. And, yeah, and I think I always see that they go too much with the overprotective mom shit in this. Like, Mike was just visiting a friend. I know he's a man who has spiders, but he didn't really do anything wrong. And then she goes off on Ashley's boyfriend, said it's reckless driving, but she was wearing a helmet on the back of his bike, so I don't understand that. And then she's like, she grounds him later. You don't way too overprotective mom character at the beginning of this film. It's just no. So, eventually they find the barrel of waste. But here's the thing. So, the accident happens, and then we cut to a week later, and we see, Joshua, and then we cut to another week later. And then we do this stuff, and, no, we see Joshua, well, maybe it goes, the thing spills, we see Joshua, and then it cuts to a week later. That's when Mike goes to Joshua's, and he's attacked, and it's another week later. So you saying that Mike hasn't made contact with Joshua in a week? Like, no calls, nothing? Despite the fact that he knows that there's something making the spiders big, he's not going to go back a little bit sooner. And then you're saying it takes 2 weeks for them to find a barrel of toxic waste that's just in the middle of their pond. It took 2 weeks to find that. But they find it. And this is where Mike gets in trouble. But he says, I have to go tell Joshua. She says, is that where you were going? And so he's taken home. But then he sneaks out later to go find it. I just realized something. Chris comes into town on a bus. So what vehicle is he driving? Is that... He's driving a truck, but whose vehicle? Is that Gladys's truck? His Aunt Gladys, who for some reason doesn't recognize him, although you don't... Is it the goatee? I don't know. But... Because Mike goes to Joshua's and can't find him. I'm assuming he's one of the dead bodies we see towards the end. But... all the spiders have escaped, and he finds a husk. And this, much like I said, they go too much into the overprotective mom shit. They also go too much into the not believe the kid about the spiders shit. So he tries to tell Chris, and he even shows proof. He's got the husk of the leg, and he's like, well, it does look like a piece of cactus. And it's like, really? You're not even interested to turn around? Like, why didn't he? Like, well, you don't believe me? Turn around. Go back to Joshua's, and I'll show you. But, no, we gotta play the I don't believe you card. So he goes home and tries to tell his mom, and gets grounded more instead. And yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. This whole thing. But it does come to a head because the spiders attack boyfriend and his friends. All his friends die except for boyfriend. He gets away on his motorcycle, but he goes into the mines. And we later find out that the spiders have set up shop in the mines. Like, they live there. They have a whole area for the queen. So, and we find out that Brett has been going on circles inside the mine because he can't get out. Why wasn't he taken out by the spiders earlier? Because he's on a motorcycle? Also, we find out that there's methane gas in the mines, so any kind of spark would make it blow up. He's on a motorcycle, which has a combustion engine, which would set off the methane gas. But it's used several times in there, and it never goes off because of that. Just saying. Eventually, the people of the town are cornered and end up going to the mall, which we see earlier. And I gotta address this. The guy, the mayor, whatever, Wade, mentions the WWF. And by this time, when this movie came out, and I know this because I was watching it this time, it was WWE. Now, I get it. This was probably filmed before they made the change. But you could have, like, oh, they changed it to WWE, let's, dub over that. But no, it's still WWF, so, yeah. Town meeting. And, I demand this. Chris punches Wade. Wade says, and I'm pressing charges, I'm going to arrest him, but he never gets arrested. They have a running joke. They have a couple running jokes in this, but they have a few running jokes. One is that Gladys is a chain smoker, like a very bad chain smoker. Another one is that Chris keeps trying to tell Sam, that's the sheriff, about how her ex-husband was a cheater and how he loves her and how he didn't say anything to her before because he didn't want to break her family up. And I don't completely get this running joke because you think it's leading somewhere, and then all of a sudden at the end he's like, I really need to tell you something after trying like 3 times, and she's like, you found out my ex-husband's cheating on me, that's why you hit him, you didn't want to tell me because you didn't want to break up my family, and you love me. Huh? And she's like, your dad told me before he died. My dad told you? And that was the whole, that's the ending to that whole running joke, is that she already knew. So, I don't know how necessary that is. Yeah. And, by the way, boyfriend gets tased in the balls and ends up pissing himself because Scarlett Johansson used a taser on him. That was earlier in the film, but, So, they're in the mall trying to escape from the spiders. We get some decent scenes running from the spiders. Rick Overton's in this. Is Deputy Pete. And he is pretty good. He's shooting at the spiders, but then he runs away and tries to hide. He used a chainsaw to cut their legs off of one. Kind of cool. But the best character in the film is Old Man Pitchfork. He's this old dude. I don't remember where he's from or whatever, but he's this old dude who carries a pitchfork around. And unfortunately, he dies in the sporting goods store when there's a spider in a tent, jumps out and kills him. Rest in peace, Old Man Pitchfork. You'll be missed. I don't know. It was just a fun scene. And no, Man Pitchfork. You know was his real name, but yeah. So Chris and Dougie Doug Harlan decide to go up to the top of the roof to make a phone call. Now, biggest question here is, if you could somehow get a phone call out, because they shoot down the phone line. Someone got a phone call out on a cell phone. What are you going to say that's going to convince the police to come help you? Well, you scream at the top of your, you try to tell them, hey, we're being attacked by giant spiders. They say, hey, this is a police. This is 911. This isn't a joke hotline. He's like, this isn't a crank call. And then he starts yelling, it's an invasion! It's an invasion! And it's just like, no one's gonna take you serious, man. And they end up hanging up. For some reason, Harlan keeps believing they're aliens, even though he's been told several times that they're not. I believe he's been told a couple times where they came from, but he still only believes that it's aliens. And he's like, it's aliens, it's not aliens, it's this, and this. And he's like, well, yeah, that's more believable than aliens. It is. Toxic waste. Actually, I have an idea for a sequel to this film, and I'll talk about it once I get done with this. But, yes, so they look like they're both going to die, so Harlan jumps off the roof to distract the spiders. Some of them follow him, and he meets up with Deputy Pete. But there are more spiders surrounding Chris. So Chris jumps down into an air vent where he meets up with Sam, and they're able to go and find out that Wade ran off to underneath to go into the mines to get away, unaware that the spiders are living in the mines. But yeah, he's a piece of shit. He locked the door behind him so no one else could follow. And he doesn't die in this. He gets attacked by one of the spiders, but then they find him later and save him. I'm like, no, he left your ass. Just leave him. But, boyfriend is his stepson, so they have a sort of story there, I guess, but never really finished that story. So they all get down to the tunnels, and where they realize the spiders are living down there, and because boyfriend comes in with a forklift, which was somehow down in the mines, which I must remind you has a combustion engine and would spark the thing out. But breaks through, and so they run down there, try to get out, and they need to find a generator, so they got to follow the cables to the generator, and then all of a sudden Chris is like, hey, you need to keep following. I gotta go back and get Gladys, because once they find Wade, he's like, Gladys could still be alive, so he's gotta go find Gladys on his own, because he's gotta have a showdown with the big queen spider. So I guess so. So Sam leaves everyone out to the generator, and Chris finds Gladys, and she goes to light a cigarette, because that's her running joke. And he's like, no smoking, because let the methane gas and they'd be dead. So they already have a plan, because he breaks one of the light bulbs, and then as they go to leave, he puts her matches up there. And so your plan was to use Gladys's matches to put up there and start a spark, right? What if you couldn't find Gladys? What if she was dead and she didn't have her matches on her? Or what if she didn't have her matches on her? What if she was alive but didn't have matches on her? You're really trusting your plan to thinking that she's going to have matches on her. I mean, she's a chain smoker, but still. Yes, so they're trying to find some gas to start the generator, but they can't. So they use the taser, which I don't know if that would work, but it does. And then Chris and Gladys ride out on boyfriend's motorcycle, which, as I told you before, would start the freaking fire. And they ride to safety, and all the spiders are killed. And I still have an idea for the sequel. Don't worry, they could have done a sequel. All the spiders are killed, and Rick Overton says, "Oh hey, I've been doused head to toe and stuff. And look, I got some hair growing, but it doesn't look like it's grown at all since the beginning of the film. I think they could have done something more with that, like a little hairpiece or something. But the help does come after everything is done, and Chris and Sam, they kiss, and happily ever after. We cut back to Dougie Doug. Oh, by the way, there was a subplot with them trying to say that there was some gold down there in the mines, but no one ever found it. Chris said his dad supposedly found it, and turns out it was in the place where the spiders were living, and so you think, oh, they blew up the mine, so no gold. Well, apparently that doesn't matter, because at the end, we're showing that Dougie Doug has gold teeth. So they found the gold, and yeah. So this movie's pretty good. I enjoy it. The spiders are very bad CGI, but in its defense, I don't think you're ever supposed to believe that it's real. This is a B movie. It's more realistic than the sharks in Sharknado, but this is a B movie. It's not supposed to be that realistic. I mean, think about it. Giant spiders. As far as it goes, I'm going to say that 8 Live Freaks is pretty good. So, my idea for a sequel, and this could have worked. And it probably wouldn't have David Arquette or Scarlett Johansson or Carly Burr, but you could continue with the boy, right? So you could say that it's been 10 years. Let's say 2012 is when you would have the sequel come out. Exactly 10 years after the first one, right? You got the boy, Mike. He's now an adult, college age. And he has been searching ever since the first film to find the company who were behind the toxic waste. He's found it, and now he's entering the company under the guise of an intern with a group of interns, like a couple of goofballs, a best friend sidekick character, and a female character that could be his love interest, right? And one guy who's sort of antagonistic and also wants the girl, that sort of thing, as they go in, and he secretly sneaks around and finds that after the events of the first film, they have been experimenting on spiders to try to figure out how it happened. They've been experimenting on spiders, and they got ones that are big, you got this CEO guy who you could say was like is always hidden, but you think he sounds familiar, but you can't put your finger on where you've heard the voice before. It's just very different. He's always like covered. You only see his a foot or a hand or something. The CEO of this company, but you don't know where to put it. You don't know. You can't think it's been 10 years. It's someone from the first film. Who knows? But while trying to destroy the waste and the spiders, Mike will accidentally cause the spiders to go free, and the entire film takes place in this building, so it's an easy filming location. Everything's in the building. You can have spiders attacking in elevators, you can have them attacking around stuff. It's like Die Hard with spiders. But eventually, Mike was able to get people out, set the building to explode. It's only one location. They have more locations. And the guy was communicating from another location. Pushing the inner mic or whatever. And he saves the day, but he says that's only one location. Who knows how and where they have. Then he gets the girl, and credits roll. We get a post-credit scene where we cut to the big corporation building, and we reveal that the guy that kind of sounds familiar is Wade from the first film, and that he actually owns the company that has the toxic waste, and it's his fault it landed there by accident. But after the accident, he thinks he can make money off of giant spiders. And he says, well, they destroyed one set, but we have more. And this is where you reveal you have big-ass giant spiders that are like the size of my couch. Like that. The size of that couch. Right there. That big. And you can set up the third one. What do you think? Not a bad idea, right? Something I thought of earlier when I was watching this. I'm like, they could easily do a sequel. And to do it mine, they'd have to wait till he was older. Or they could just have an older actor, I guess. But it's an idea, right? Obviously, you'd want to bring back Arquette, but if you can't, that's an idea, you know? I could probably bring Arquette back for the third one. You know, who knows? But, yeah, as far as Wade being the one behind it, I kind of figured it would make sense that he somehow owned the company, that the Barrows were in charge, or he figured out what the company was and bought it so that he could continue experimenting. Something like that. It could be explained in the third one. Who knows? But, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Eight-Legged Freaks? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Up next, it's the letter F. And we'll be entering the world of vampires. Vampire hunters. Till then, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.